I single-handedly broke up my marriage. You're an awful person.
You're 24 years old. Why would I listen to you? Why would you be giving therapy and advice to people who clearly need it? It doesn't make any sense, Ari. This is a horrible idea.
You're listening to
Unlicensed
Therapy with Ari Manis.
Do you have any pre-podcast rituals that you do?
I usually just make sure I got water, make sure the whistle is wet, since I'll be talking for a while.
Mm-hmm. No, in this podcast, I do most of the talking.
Yeah?
No,
that's good. That's good. I did a podcast recently where one of the questions was, what do you want to talk about now?
It's a good question.
Go...
giving you the option, giving you full power.
They did give me full control, which was, a little empowering. But it threw me off a little bit, too, because usually whoever's hosting the podcast has kind of like a...
I'll be honest.
They're going somewhere.
I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, but that's okay.
That podcast stole my first question.
Yeah? What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, except I don't use the word now because the first question is, what do you want to talk about?
Right.
Yeah. So that's the way to go.
Well, dude, you're my favorite, so...
That's what you want to talk about?
No, I've been telling you that for years, that you're my favorite.
Yeah, but now you have to tell the world.
I sometimes... almost every single time I see Ari, I'll hug him very closely, and I'll say, "You're my favorite."
Yeah.
But the very first time I said it was...
I don't remember the first time.
The very first time I said, "You're my favorite," and I said, "Jew." So it's a continuation of...
That's anti-Semitic.
Not at all. You're my favorite Jewish person?
That seems anti-Semitic.
I don't think so at all. I think it sounds like a good Gentile friend.
Would you ever walk up to a black person and say, "You're my favorite black"?
Well, I think that there would need to be the right circumstance, and I would have to be really good friends with.
Who would it be? Who would
It'd probably be like somebody like Jamar or Willie, who like I'm close enough with, where like they would get it as like a joke.
You're my favorite black.
I mean, they'd be like, what? Like Jamar would be like, huh?
Or you could even flip it, hugging a girl and go, "You're my favorite female."
They'd probably love that.
Yeah, they would. Girls love compliments.
But there's certain
girls are so
pronouns
dumb, they'll take any
or nouns that that are okay. I think favorite black sounds way worse than favorite female or favorite Jew, but Jew and black could be on the same level.
It depends on.
It depends on the context. It all depends on the context.
It's like that Louis C.K. joke where he says Jew is the only word that could mean a good or a bad thing,
right?
Depending on how you say it.
Yeah. And I mean it the good way when I see Ari Manis.
Do you think that Jews are the chosen people, or do you think that's just something they believe? Or do you really think they are?
It's kind of hard to tell. I mean, maybe they had some good mojo going for them, and then it's like a self-proclaimed thing, I don't know.
I think it's bullshit.
Yeah?
I don't think Jews are the chosen people.
I mean, I think it's hard to... it's hard to say.
I don't mean,
like
are you religious?
I grew up super religious.
But now?
I would say...
Do you go to
it
church?
Sounds very LA for me to say this, but I'm more of a spiritual person. I still pray.
To God?
Yeah, I still pray to God.
Every day?
Yeah, I try to.
And do you go to church on Sundays?
I don't go to church. That's where the it's hard for me to classify myself as a religious person.
When are you having a child?
What's that?
When are you having a child?
When am I?
Yeah.
Like, when am I having children?
You and your wife, yeah.
Oh,
not you personally.
That's a different podcast altogether.
I
have no idea.
Okay, you don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea.
So when you do have a child, because I know you will, I could see it.
She really wants it. We'll
make
it happen
want
eventually.
it. Yeah, and I think you really want it. Whether I don't know, how that's going to happen, but you're going to.
Why do you here? I mean, we're on this unlicensed therapy. What makes when you look at me, you say that like Jeremiah wants a kid? Because I've been saying the opposite to my wife.
Yeah, you've
lately.
been saying it, but deep down, you want it.
Yeah?
Yeah, you want to be a dad.
Why would you say, in your unprofessional opinion, why would you say that?
I could still be a professionally unlicensed. I would say...
You got really offended. I can still be professionally unlicensed.
Yeah. I mean, look at this garage. This is professional.
It looks very nice in here, actually.
Okay, so why do I know that you are gonna
Want kids.
Want
yeah,
kids?
Yeah. Want kids or even will have them.
Well, a few reasons.
Okay.
You're a very, very nice guy. Nice guys want kids. That's one reason. Really nice people, kind people. Hey, how are people who huggers? Guys who have had one vagina their whole life. Those are family men.
Okay, so far he's describing me pretty well.
Yeah, those are family men. Another reason. You're a comedian, right? An actor? An entertainer?
That's my favorite question I've been asked in a while. You're a comedian, right?
What would you describe yourself if someone said, what do you do? Would you say comedian?
I'd say comedian.
Comedian,
Yeah.
right?
Because, I mean, I do a lot of things.
You do a lot of things.
But I specifically...
But identify as a comedian.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah,
it's,
you're in the
it's very
comedy
specific
community.
why, like, people ask me, not all the time, but every once in a while, they'll be like, why is your handle on social media Jeremiah stand-up? I'm like, that's what I am first. I'm going to do a lot of things throughout my career, but I want that to be the first thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're a comedian, an entertainer.
Yeah.
Every comedian's a little mentally ill.
Yeah.
You know.
I agree with that.
Thinks they...
A little bit. Even
thinks
if it's
a
just
little ego,
scotch, even just
a little pinch of egotisticalness in them. A little listen to me. Thinks the world should know what they have to say.
Okay. Yeah.
So what comedian wouldn't want to spread that into another human? Spread a little bit of themselves. Create a new Jeremiah. A Jeremiah 2.0.
Yeah, but if I was really, really selfish, though, if we go to the extreme, then I would only want there to be...
But you're not really, really selfish. You're just a little selfish. Like the rest of us. And because of that, you want a little... Jemmy. Jemmy's his nickname because you're going to name him Jeremiah, but you don't want people to call you both Jeremiah, so it's going to be Jemmy.
It's so gross. Can I say that the way that I was booked for this podcast was so weird?
Oh,
in
let's
my
hear
opinion.
about it. Yeah.
Do you actually have someone who does your booking for the show?
Did you think you were talking to me the whole time?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't me.
The name, okay, the name on the email, first of all, is like such a name that could be made up that...
What is it, the name Marco Polo or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, Marco Polo.
That's his actual name.
At least that's what he goes by. He also lives in a car, in a Honda.
Okay, first of all, I don't know how you guys met, but that's already fascinating to me that that's who books your show.
Yeah.
Second of all, they went through my management company. They emailed my manager directly, and my manager emailed me like, "Do you know this podcast?" And I go, "Yeah, it's a buddy. I'll reach out. Thank you." And then I hit them back with a separate...
It didn't make you look bad or anything, did it?
No, it was just like... It was funny. Like I for a minute thought that you were playing a prank on me because it's listing the credits and the former guests of the podcast. I'm like, I'm good friends with Ari. I've known him forever. And then like you're laying out, like I see all the clips. Like I follow you on social media. Like, you know, we work together on different shows and stuff like that. Like it was just very funny.
It is weird. That's what most people say who come in here. They go, "Why didn't you just ask me?" But my least favorite part about podcasting is the booking.
Well, I agree. I mean, it's
annoying and just scheduling. So this guy, Marco Polo,
I still don't believe that this guy is real. His name is Marco Polo, and he lives in his car, and yet he books
and he's a
unlicensed
Lyft
therapy.
driver. And he's a Lyft driver.
I believe that part of it.
So he, as you may or may not know, I used to produce Barry Katz's podcast.
Yeah?
And he interned for Barry Katz couple years after I no longer produced it.
Mm-hmm.
And when he was interning there, he saw my name on papers and emails or something. He just came across me and looked me up and enjoyed my content. And he reached out to me and said, "Hey, if you ever need help with anything, let me know what I could do. I would love to be part of it."
I love it.
And I said, I don't know what you could. First, I said, I don't know what you could do. That's what my first.
I don't know
response.
what discernible skills you have for me.
I don't know what I need help with. Like, what am I doing that I could use assistance with? So then, as time went on, I go, I need to find someone to book it. So reached out and he said,
there
"Yeah,
it was,
man."
man.
And you know what? He got Jeremiah Watkins
You
here.
got me on the show, man.
Yeah.
It was a very legit email that I was like, if this is Ari, this is the funniest prank that he's doing, going through my manager to get to me.
Not me. Who's your manager?
Over at
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So open their eyes to this podcast. You know, you'd think, part of me thinks that
should we put a censor bleep over my mouth and then a censor bleep over your mouth whenever you say, "Oh, so and so opened their eyes to my podcast"? I think you should do that in editing.
Yeah,
It's a
well.
little bit of work, but I think
oh,
it's
I
funny.
can handle it. No, but part of me thinks to myself, that's one of the top management companies in comedy, right?
Yeah.
So part of me thinks to myself, oh, if someone emailed them my podcast to try and get one of their people on it, that they would just ignore it. But they didn't.
But not to discredit you, I feel like
They brought it to your attention.
no, I feel like my manager, like I make myself pretty available if people want to reach me online.
Uh-huh.
Like you can find all my info on my website.
Yeah,
like,
so I'm surprised he didn't just contact you directly.
Yeah. But it's one of those things where I think my manager's used to getting hit up randomly because I make things like, hey, if you want to book me for something like, and it's something fun or something cool, like I'm down for the cause.
So if I reached out to maybe one of his bigger, through your manager to his bigger client, I don't want to say bigger. You're very big.
I don't think it would work.
But the biggest, he would ignore it. If he
I don't know.
For example, your manager.
I don't know
Your
how
manager
he handles-
represents Chris D'Elia, right?
Yeah.
So if Marco Polo emailed your manager
I don't
to
think
get
it
to
would
D'Elia,
get. I don't think it
would
would
it get to D'Elia?
I don't think it would get through, dude. I think there's too many. I think there's also too many. There's too much of a volume
True.
of that kind of stuff. So like, if it's a random email that's like, hey, this is a good thing, and he knows that I just put out an album and stuff like that, and that I'm making kind of the podcast rounds right now.
Yeah. I recently had your album co-creator.
Oh,
on the
really?
podcast.
Has that episode come out yet?
Not yet.
Wow, I'm
Pat
excited for that.
Regan.
Good.
He got really deep.
Did he really?
Mm-hmm.
I believe
He
that.
talked about his struggles
Really?
through the world.
Was it a good episode?
Yeah.
Heck yeah. That's my boy Patty Reagan right there, man.
Pat Reagan. Is it Reagan or Regan?
Reagan.
Oh, shit. I've been saying it wrong.
It's okay. 90% of people say it wrong. I always have to correct people.
Reagan.
We recently did a
I know Reagan and Watkins.
we
but-
did a spot on that NBC show that's coming out.
Oh, yeah.
And they literally announced his name wrong, and I went up to the producer. I go, "You gotta do another take of that. You said his name wrong." And they're like, "Oh, sorry." And then Pat's like, "Thanks, man."
Because he wouldn't have done it.
I don't know. I feel like he might have let it slide, and I was
Because
like,
it's such a, it's saying it wrong, but it's not like
it's so
butchering
close.
it.
Yeah, it's so close where a lot of people say Reagan, but I'm just like, say it like Ronald Reagan.
Does anyone ever say the name Jeremiah wrong?
No, they just might lean on certain syllables a little harder than others.
Jeremiah?
They a lot of people go Jer-I, like they think it's spelled Jeri, but it's Jeremiah.
So they'll say,
A lot of people spell it wrong,
oh, Jeremiah.
like
Yeah. Does anyone spell it that way?
Not that I
Nine?
know of. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't
Like,
know.
is the biblical version of nine?
The biblical version is how I spell it. I mean, yeah.
Jeremiah. With an O? Anyone ever do that?
Jeremiah?
Jeremiah?
No, that's a different name. Jeromia.
What would be the female name equivalent of Jeremiah?
Jeremy, maybe.
Jeremy.
Jeremy.
Sounds like a,
Jew.
like a Jew,
Right?
like a favorite Jew.
A favorite Jew. That's
Yeah,
what it
yeah.
sounds like, yeah.
Do you know the premise of this podcast? Were you told by Marco Polo?
No.
Okay, I need
That was one
I
thing
need
he
to start
did.
telling him to.
Yeah, that was one
So-
of the things that I wasn't briefed on that.
I need to start telling Marco Polo to.
He just told
Brief the
Stats,
guest.
former guest, dude. So, he
He
got
so
me
he's
here.
got the pitch down.
He's got the pitch down.
Now he's got to get the prep down.
No, because here's the thing. Well, the prep should be in the follow-up email after the booking.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, you'll lose some people
Right,
if
right.
you say it right off the bat.
So he's got to get the once the confirmation is in.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing it.
Yeah.
By the way, here's the homework
yeah.
for the podcast.
Oh, there's homework. Okay.
Not real homework, but
Yeah.
like it's not like acting homework. It'll take up practice and
Okay.
hours. But the premise of my podcast is that since we've known each other, you may have not known this because we've both been busy the last couple of years, so we don't hang out that much. But I've become an expert in everything, really knowledgeable on the world,
Sure.
on psychology, on philosophy,
Yeah, I've been hearing. Yeah.
on health and wellness, physical fitness, you name it, really. Honestly, everything. I don't want to toot my own horn,
Yeah.
but I'm the man now.
Well, yeah, I mean,
And
I can tell with your different stand-up sets, like your vernacular has changed and your references are way different and
I'm getting political.
way more political, way more scholastic than before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. So what I want to do with all this new knowledge that I've been gaining is help people.
Sure.
And I want to help you. And if you have any problems in your life, anything in your life that needs fixing or work, issues, whether that be relationships, friendships, career, family, you name it, I could fix it for you, or at least put you on the path to get it fixed.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Anything in your life?
Man, this is definitely something that should have been prepped. So I would have an answer ready to go.
It's better this way. It's not better. It's worse, but it's unique.
You're gonna be searching a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Something that I can work on right now. I got a great relationship with family. So
Everyone in your family you get along with perfectly?
Yeah.
Even your brother?
Yeah. Close with my brother.
sure?
But I love the therapist look that you're giving me right now. Like, tell me.
Are you sure?
Tell me about your brother. What are you doing with your hand? Just let me know what is
Both brothers?
both brothers.
Do you have two brothers?
No, just one brother.
That brother?
Older brother, younger sister.
Both brother and sister?
Yeah.
And they're both comfortable hugging you? After everything?
Yeah, I would hope that most people who are in my life are comfortable hugging me, but
You would hope, but it's 2019.
I mean,
Probably about half the women, they feel violated afterwards. They just don't say anything because they're scared. Like roughly,
is that
roughly,
a real study that you
I read
half?
I read a statistic on Reddit that 50%.
Which is that is the place to go for
statistics. Yeah, it's the
especially
number
for
one place.
psychology and therapy.
Right.
But continue.
Reddit's the number one place for
Yeah.
statistics. I read a statistic that 50% of white women in America get uncomfortable from men hugging them and they feel violated after, but they're too scared and frail to say anything after the hug.
Wow, that sucks. That just means there's a lot of bad huggers out there, a lot of lingerers.
Yeah, or maybe it's like there's this, if you hug a woman too tight, it could be bad. And if you hug a woman too loosely, they could also that might make them uncomfortable too. Like there's this balance. If you give a girl like a dead hug,
If you're doing like a marionette puppet, like
yeah, if you give a girl that hug, they're equally creeped out than if you held them too long.
and then your hand just slowly slides off the shoulder. Like,
I'm like, I barely hugged you.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, that's even worse
she's like,
than a
I
long
would
hug.
have like a better, like a
I would have liked
proper-
a creepier hug than that.
Yeah.
So it's like you got to be careful out there when you're hugging. That's why now when a girl goes to hug me, I usually just tell her I have a cold every time, even if I don't. I just go, oh, sorry, I have a bad cold, and then I'll touch elbows with her. It's hard because then it's like
That makes everybody feel like
Everyone
in
feels-
a good platonic
everyone feels safe.
with an elbow touch.
Yeah.
It's good.
Just touch elbows.
Yeah.
If you're a guy out there in 2019, if you're a man and you're in the workplace and a girl goes in for a hug, you just tell her you have a cold every time.
Yeah, dude.
Sorry, I have a
there's
little bit of a
probably
cold.
some fetish dude out there who's like he's into elbow sucking or something like that, dude. That is gonna ruin it. There's gonna keep being progressions of things that, like, after a while, like, that's gonna be like, oh yeah.
So he'll
people
get in
are,
trouble.
People are that gross.
There'll be an article on New York
yeah.
Times about this famous guy who would like hold his elbows against women for too long.
Mm-hmm.
I could see it.
I
You
think
never
so.
know.
Yeah.
Okay, so your family is good.
Yeah.
Parents too?
Yeah.
Your mom and dad still together?
They're not. Yeah.
Sorry to hear
They're
that.
both Yeah, man. Are your parents still together?
Yeah.
Thanks for rubbing it in, dude.
I didn't mean to do
That's
that.
okay, dude.
So
fine, man.
they're divorced? Your mom and dad?
Yeah,
Mommy
dude.
and daddy?
Yeah.
And how old were you when they got divorced?
I was 17. Junior
17.
year of high school.
That's a tough time for that to happen.
Yeah.
It's like,
transitionary period.
it's like on one hand you want them to be happy and be away from each other, but then on the other hand, they couldn't have waited till you went to college? They couldn't have waited another 2 years?
My sister was 15 at the time, so it was like...
They couldn't have waited 3 years for her?
Well, that's the thing. It goes from 1 more year for me, but then 3 or 4 more years for her. So it's like,
Is she okay from this?
Yeah.
You're both okay?
I think we're okay
Is
now.
that when you decided to become a comedian?
Yeah. No, I think that certain events surrounding my teenage years kind of shaped and formed different points of view that led me to being a comic. But I wanted to be a comedian since I was a little kid.
And you still wanted to get married even after going through a family divorce?
Yeah, but I definitely was. It was scary for me being a comic to get married because it's quite the opposite of normal for
Is it?
comedians.
I feel like a lot of
think so.
comedians are married.
I feel like later on.
Yeah, later, true.
I think I'm a younger guy.
Yeah, you are
I think
younger.
I'm a younger guy to get married.
That
like
I
as far
agree
as
with.
statistically, like a lot of people who are comics who get married, in my opinion, that I've just kind of monitored from the age groups, a lot of them are more
Established.
mid-30s and established.
Yeah.
And they're like kind of more settled.
They're
And-
either very successful or they've given up on being successful
Yeah.
for the most part.
Sure.
People who get married.
Yeah.
And you're not. I wouldn't say you fall into either one of those categories. I would say you're moderately successful,
Uh-huh.
but you're still very driven to become very successful.
Sure. Yeah. That's where I feel on that. Yeah.
You agree?
Yeah.
Because I know everything.
I know. Everything he knows.
Everything about the world.
I think between like bumpers, like I'm just gonna throw like some different like theme ideas and stuff.
Okay.
Where like after like a moving moment on the show, there's a title card that sweeps by that just goes unlicensed, and then like it cuts to the next segment of like, so how old were you when your first pet died? Unlicensed. Wow, and did that divorce affect you long term? Yes, it did. Unlicensed.
That'd be a great commercial.
Yeah.
For the show.
Yeah, for the show.
And
You got to do it.
And then that's what Marco Polo could send to each person if you
Yeah.
want to know what the show is about.
And
And
then-
then send them that.
And then like and then one of them is just Marco Polo reading the stats of the show that he said in the email. Like Ari Manis has this many downloads and this many SoundCloud subscribers. Unlicensed. Like intercut between the guests where you're like, wait, who is that guy? Is that Marco Polo? You never put a title card like under him, like a
He
lower
remains
third.
mysterious.
He remains mysterious.
Yeah.
Unlicensed.
How old were you when your best friend passed away in a car accident?
I was only 6 years old.
Is that true?
Unlicensed. No.
Oh, you got me.
Yeah.
Have you had any close friends pass away in your life?
Yeah. Yeah.
When was the first time?
The first one I think was when I was 20 years old.
You could still
21.
pass for 20.
I was like 21.
You could still pass for 21.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
I think I was 21. I was out here living in Los Angeles.
Okay. And
Yeah.
he was still back home in Kansas?
She was
She
a good
was.
friend who lived out here. Yeah.
Oh, she lived out here too. Was
Mhm.
she another entertainer?
She wasn't. I actually met her doing phone sales, which is my first job that I
Wow.
got when I moved out here to LA.
Was that commission based?
Commission only. There's not a base.
No hourly rate.
No hourly rate.
Did you make any money?
Dude, that job literally, the reason why I look back on that job and it was literally I think the reason why I worked there was to meet the few people that I still remain friends with some of the people. That,
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's
that
nice.
are from that job.
Except for this one girl
Yeah.
who passed away, unfortunately. Rest in peace. God
So
bless.
the job, I made like no money there. I ended up looking back on it, and I was like, it was like the Napoleon Dynamite thing where he's doing the math, and he's like, there's like $1 an hour. That's
when I hear
essentially-
about jobs like this that are commission based, I think to myself, if I was going to take that job, I might as well call venues and try and pitch myself as a comedian. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sell myself. Which I'm not going to do that either, but if I was going to do something like that. What were you selling?
It's so unfortunate that this is like a thing. It was artist promotional packages for musicians.
So you were calling musicians.
From MySpace. This is when MySpace was big.
Wow. I didn't even realize you've been here that long.
Yeah.
What year was this?
This was in 2009 with
Okay.
like the tail end of MySpace, and like
Okay.
people were using MySpace then. It had already kind of had almost gone because Facebook had completely overtaken it.
It was one of those things where people still had to be on it, even though
People
it
still
was
had to be on it, kind of like, in my opinion, kind of what Facebook is right
right
now.
now.
where-
Everyone's on Instagram, but like
right. People move platforms, but they still want to kind of keep ties there because they spent so much time and built up so much energy.
and it's like even though no one uses Facebook or even almost I want to say Twitter. People still use Twitter. People still use them all.
Yeah.
But Instagram's far and away the most important, I'd say.
Yeah.
But if you took a marketing class right now, they would all still say make a Twitter, make a Facebook.
Oh, of course.
They would all still.
Yeah. So a lot of musicians still had it because that's where they built up their fan base and stuff like that. So we would call random musicians that we would be given leads by the lead department there, and we would go and try to pitch them like, hey, we want to put together like an EPK for you, an electronic press kit, which for actors would be like a reel or like a highlight kind of set up with like a resume and different things like that. And we would just sell those packages to different people, and they would do it, but the promises that they were making to the people that they were telling us to pitch them on, like I would follow up like later. I'm like, hey, what's going on with, what's going on with these people who we sold this stuff to? They're like, oh yeah, they're being taken care of. And it ended up being a scam. It ended up being the whole company like shut down because it was a scam based company.
They literally weren't even making them an EPK.
They were making them EPKs, but they weren't providing any
Submitting them.
connections. They weren't submitting them. Like
they were claiming, oh, we could submit you to these festivals.
They were claiming that they were
going
going to get them like gigs and stuff, and like it was just like having a fake agent kind of thing. But that was they were being charged for. So it's real slimy. Like so it ended up working out that I didn't sell many of them because like looking back, I'm like, oh man, that sucks that I didn't even know that I was selling like garbage to people. I was scamming
you're
people.
just an employee.
Yeah.
You don't know. You're in an office. You go, I guess they're legit. They got an office.
Yeah, we had an office. Like it was nice equipment and everything in there, and it was in LA on the Sunset Strip. Like I used to skateboard to work every day.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I saw not recently because you're all healed, but you hurt yourself pretty bad on a skateboard.
I broke my arm last year.
That was a whole year ago?
Yeah.
Time flies, dude.
I know.
You dropped into a mega ramp.
Sure. Yeah. A mega ramp. Sunday. Jeremiah Watkins drops in on his skateboard on the mega ramp.
It was a quarter pipe? No, it was a half pipe. It was like a bowl at a skateboard. What
That was a
was
quarter
it?
pipe, yeah.
A quarter pipe, but a big quarter pipe.
It was big.
Cement.
I bit off too much.
Big
it was
cement quarter pipe.
It was cement. Yeah. And that's just not forgiving as I...
Did you commit too hard or did you not commit enough?
Well, people who are good at skateboarding said that I committed, but I didn't plant my foot entirely on the front of the board, so I kind of slipped off. So some people are saying that I committed, but in the wrong way. like I should have, if I would have put my feet in the middle of the board, how you're supposed to, like on the bolts, I probably would have had a different kind of fall. But I slipped off the front, so I just pancaked on the
Yeah.
ground.
Oh, I saw the video. It is gnarly.
It's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
It's just like cringy more than anything because
Yeah.
you're also looking at like, he broke his arm doing that. But then you see my face and you're like, oh yeah. Like I'm just like sweating immediately. And I'm like,
Was that one of the top 5 worst moments of your life?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because dude,
Yeah, no, I believe
I
it.
think so because I've had a lot of injuries doing dumb stuff over the years, but that one as an adult and being as a comedian, knowing that it's going to affect work, like that's what was scary. I literally laid on a bench for like 15, 20 minutes. Like I was like, if it's still hurting this bad and like after I'm chilled out for a bit, we have to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
And I'm not that person who's like,
No,
I need to go to the hospital.
Of course.
You know?
Yeah, you're a pretty easygoing guy.
Yeah.
You'll fight through it.
I'll try to fight through it. So
One of my favorite memories of you, one of my earliest memories of you, it was, what was that open mic that was by UCLA?
Westwood?
Westwood Bruco?
Bruco?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, so it was at Bruco. And which is at this, basically a bar,
Mm-hmm.
like for college kids.
Yeah.
And there's a separate room
Yeah.
where they did an open mic, and people who were drinking at the bar would kind of wander in and out to check it out.
Mm-hmm.
So it was actually a better open mic than most in LA because there is a chance you'd get an audience. But you were up there, and it was pretty late, and there was no audience. There was no audience. There was maybe 2 or 3 people. The energy in the room was not good. And I think you've done this before, but this is the first time I saw it. And they called your name, and you went on to like trip and fall over every chair as you walked to the stage. Just these elaborate falls. And I just was like, that's when I knew that we were soulmates.
There's even I think one of the times I did it, I don't know if it was the time that you saw me do it, there was a chair that was already half broken on stage, and I kept falling into it until it completely broke. Like I kept like falling into it until it like blew to shreds on stage. And yeah. I'll still do that kind of stuff every once in a while. Not quite as often because the sets are longer now. So you have a bigger hole to kind of get out of whenever you do stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean?
Well, and now the shows are better, I feel like, too.
Well, yeah, so you
like, it's
don't
fun to do those when the show doesn't matter at all.
You
It's
don't
horrible.
necessarily, the audience doesn't deserve that. So, like, every once in a while, I still love doing that just to, like, I did literally last night, I was at the store in the original room. I had, like, an 8-minute set, and for the 8-minute set, like, I sang this song with Avery that was all about We Got a Show. And it was me rhyming and making dumb stuff up about how there was a show going on. And it's like, yeah, dude, we're at the show. But I was just like, it was like this anthem of like getting people into it. And I did that I went to the audience and like, fell all over the place, tripped over the stool, did the thing. Had to be there, but I still like doing weird, like outside the box stuff like that.
Yeah. Do you find it scarier? Have you ever done something that crazy, like falling and breaking a stool repeatedly at a packed show?
Yeah. I mean, last night it was pretty packed.
It was?
Yeah. It was pretty packed last night. It wasn't like one of those 10 people crowds. It was like a full crowd.
Nice.
Yeah.
See, that's when it gets really scary for me. Like, sometimes I'll be weird if the crowd, never as weird as you, but sometimes I'll be weird for me if it's a light crowd, and I'm just kind of more fearless.
In my opinion, with the bigger crowd, some of my really, really physical bits that I do that take a lot, I won't do them in front of small crowds because it's not even worth it to me.
Right, it's not worth getting hurt.
The energy that I'm putting out there is literally not worth it for these 3 people. Like I need like a more, like, it's such a grandiose performance. It just doesn't make sense.
I agree with that. That being said, part of the reason it was so funny to me is that you were committing so hard to falling for like 2 people.
Yeah, which I still do that like all the time when I go up late night or whatever and there's a small crowd. I still commit the same level as I do, whether it be a packed room But I
Yeah.
do hold on to a couple bits
Right.
that I like too much because I don't want me to lose faith in the bit.
I get that.
But Jamar or somebody from the back, usually Jamar, will call out and they're like, do that one bit. And it's always a super physical bit when there's nobody there. I'm like, all right, dude, I guess I'll do it. Here we go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's the most physical bit you did on? Well, I guess with Regan and Watkins, you just did music. I was gonna say, what's the most physical bit you've done on like TV?
It would definitely be something with the wave for roast battle.
Oh yeah, forgot
'Cause
about
we get
that.
real physical for that show.
Yeah, you get very physical. In the way.
I mean, that's straight slapstick. So I put my head through like paintings before. I mean, I've done legit pratfalls, like where I've like fallen straight to the stage, or I've literally ran into the mirror in the how they used to have that mirror in the belly room. I ran into it and fell down because they made a bird joke, and I flew into the mirror and fell down. There's been a lot of physical jokes on that show.
Okay, I think I know the answer to this question, but I'm gonna ask it just in case I'm wrong. You do a lot. I think we touched on this earlier, but I think more than any comedian that I could think of, just the most amount of projects. You got your stand-up, you got your sketch, you got Kill Tony, The Wave, Regan and Watkins, your podcast,
Yeah,
everything.
Yeah, Comedy Jam. Yeah,
Yeah, goddamn Comedy Jam. Just
stand up on the spot. Yeah.
stand up on the spot. Your show that you produce. You're a workhorse. What out of all those things do you get recognized for the most?
Honestly, Kill Tony,
That's what I thought.
which is it's kind of cool because that's something that is a self-started thing, which is pretty gratifying. I'll get here and there like on the road. It's always Kill Tony and roast battle, because especially middle of the U.S. in the South and stuff, they still watch Comedy Central and TV and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they replay those episodes a lot. So we'll get
The roast battle ones.
they replay those a lot. So we'll get like people will know me from that, but it's mainly Kill Tony, to be honest, and it's mainly podcast, and it's a very new age, different thing. I got a lot of love from the Netflix historical roast stuff.
Mhm.
I had like a bit part on that. I played Freddie Mercury's cat.
Okay.
And then Avery Pearson and I did the music for that show, so we're the house band every episode.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But it's definitely Kill Tony. And those are like the most legit comedy fans, like at all the projects and stuff that I've done.
What is your motivation to do all these things? Is it to get a career going and support yourself? Is it pure fun? You just enjoy doing it all, and that's what motivates you? What's your biggest motivation to do so many things? Because, you obviously love comedy and love doing it. I think we all do. But there's got to be days where you're like, I want to do nothing today, but I have these 7 things I have to do.
Yeah, I have to definitely like give myself pep talks every once in a while, but for the most part, I'm able to do that many things, like those many different projects, because I genuinely love all that stuff. Because Kill Tony, Roast Battle, the Comedy Jam, even historical roasts, like I did a bunch of those shows early on before it was a TV show, and even most recently I did multiple of the Stand Up to the Streets, the funny dance show, before that came a TV show. So I go into it with I give like whatever show that I'm doing, I give my all to, and I commit 1,000%, and I pour as much love and positive energy into it as possible, and commit to it, and hope for the best. But all of those projects started out not a moneymaker.
Right.
We didn't make money with any of those things. It was like a natural evolution that comes with the show getting better, and then industry starts coming and checking it out and stuff like that. So I started off just because all of those came from the love of me doing the projects.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I started like my podcast, Jeremiah Wonders, and Stand Up on the Spot. Those like, they're not like big money makers yet, but I believe that because of the love and everything that I'm putting into those, that those will be the shows that in the long run will be able to provide for myself and my lady.
And your future little Jemmy.
Could be.
What would you name your son?
My goodness. I don't know, dude.
What would you name your daughter?
I mean,
I would name my son Tad. Tad.
I would want my one of if I
Ari?
had kids.
Named him Ari.
Yeah, Ari Watkins. Yeah, I would want even if it's like a middle name. I would want my brother's name to be if
Just
I
because
guess.
you love your brother.
Yeah.
What's your brother's name?
Jonathan?
Jonathan.
Yeah, another strong J
Kinda,
name.
yeah, just a standard name.
I know. I could have Ari.
Yeah, why wouldn't you want to give your kid a Jewish name?
How about let's just start off with Schneider.
It would be kind of funny to give your name, ironically, a very Jewish name, even though he's not Jewish.
Yeah,
It'd be kind of a little, or like a female name to a boy.
sure.
That'd be mean, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Boy named Sue, Johnny Cash style.
Yeah. Boy named Sue. So you have all these projects. Some of them aren't making money. Some of them are. But does it make it harder for you to take? Are there do people come to you with projects all the time and now you're a lot more selective with them?
I'm a little bit more selective, but only because there's only so much time. And what I've found out, and I'll have to start doing this the longer my career goes on, is I'll have to start kind of being a little bit more selective with the things that I'm a part of, just because I don't want the quality to go down. I don't
Right.
want to spread myself too thin where it just doesn't make sense. Like,
What project on your repertoire that you got going on would you cancel right now, first and foremost?
I can't
whose
say that.
project
I absolutely can't say that.
do you think is the worst?
I can't say that.
Whose is the best? Okay, we could skip to that question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have some projects here that I wanted to see if you wanted to work on.
Unlicensed.
First project is, would you be interested in starting, I have this restaurant idea and I want your face and name attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Jeremiah Watkins Hot Dog Stand.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be interested in starting that with me?
I think we need to workshop some things. The name, first off.
Jeremiah Watkins Hot Dog Stand.
I mean, it's funny because it's so bad.
Bad. I put a lot of time into that.
You literally.
I prepared this pitch.
You put no time into this pitch. How many employees do we have?
It's just one stand, so to one employee working at a time. I mean, there'd still be a manager that would come check in on that person.
Is his name Marco Polo?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it'd be Marco.
Okay.
Yeah, he's responsible.
Yeah.
So you're in. Is that in? A verbal contract? A verbal yes?
Have Marco Polo email me. We'll see.
Oh, and we'd pay you for the name.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. You'd get.
Now, do I have to work at the stand?
So you have to make appearances.
See, this is important. This is part of the pitch. Now, is my face going to be
Yeah.
on Jeremiah Watkins?
Oh, every hot dog.
Is
It's gonna
a
be
hot
branded.
dog going to be going like into my mouth, like for the logo, like it's just like all hot dogs.
Not every
like,
logo. We're gonna have various
like
logos.
a bundle of hot dogs, like with my mouth.
Your face
open.
is gonna be branded on each hot dog, so there's gonna be like a
So
black
it's just
charcoal.
gonna be a nose on every single, a nose imprint on every single hot dog.
Your nose isn't that
Unlicensed.
your nose is.
You have to cut together a trailer of these unlicensed moments. Your nose isn't that.
Let's see how long I could keep that going.
Okay.
Your nose isn't that. It's not that.
It's not that.
It's not that.
It's not that what?
It's not doesn't have that much
Pronounced.
magnitude. It's pretty it's normal. Your nose is pretty. It's really not that. So I have another project I wanted to pitch to you.
Sure.
A license. Let's go. License. Okay, this project is this one is more of a joint venture. First one was the hot dog stand. This one is a show where you take you, Brenton Biddlecombe, Lucas Hurl, all the nicest people, like the most kind-hearted ones. Avery, maybe just like really friendly, like Canadian type friendliness almost. Even though Avery is Canadian, but like I'm just gonna lump you all in as Canadian.
I love it.
And we get you guys to do really mean-spirited things.
It's actually a pretty great pitch for a show.
Yeah.
I like that.
So we get the four of you. We take you on the street, and they're like, Jeremiah, you see that random handicapped person? Trip him.
That's a little extreme.
Trip that handicap.
Yeah.
Or you see that woman.
Then there's interviews afterwards where like that made us the feeling inside when we did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the interviews afterwards.
Or just the shot of you doing it and then your apology to them after. I'm so sorry. It's for TV.
It's for this thing. We're gonna give you $10,000.
I'm really sorry.
I'm really sorry. I'm gonna feel bad about this.
You could have half
weeks.
the money I got from this. This is
Yeah.
All right. So you're in with both the hot dog
So far,
stand.
your pitches are pretty strong.
Wow. I'm gonna be honest with you. I just came up with them.
What?
On the spot. Did you think that I had them prepped before the episode?
Yeah.
I'm good. Okay, we're gonna take a couple calls. These are from listeners. There's these calls. They're voicemails. They're not necessarily for you specifically. They're for the show.
Okay.
And they're people who are calling for advice, and you're gonna give it to them.
Great. I love
This
it.
is Cody Hester.
Hi, I was wanting to get some advice on how to start looking at more of the positive side of life. Recently, I feel I've been focusing more on the negative outcome of all situations
Been there.
instead of on what should be more positive. And I was wanting to see if you could give me some pointers or something on what I could do to start focusing more on the positive instead of the negative.
Okay, before we get into giving him advice, I'm gonna play it one more time. Do you think? Oh, couldn't hear any of it.
No, I thought you were doing a bit for a second.
Okay.
Like I couldn't hear it at all.
I forgot you didn't have your headphones on.
I literally thought Ari was doing a bit because he goes, "Yeah, been there," and I'm like, "Oh, this is like an improv game that we're doing where now after the call comes in, I'm gonna have to give fake advice to and set up." Like I was literally creating a backstory in my head. All right, here, let's listen again.
That's a great game. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're gonna play it again.
Okay.
That's hilarious.
Hi, I was wanting to get some advice on how to start looking at more of the positive side of life. Recently, I feel I've been focusing more on the negative outcome of all situations instead of on what should be more positive. And I was wanting to see if you could give me some pointers or something on what I could do to start focusing more on the positive instead of the negative.
Okay, so before we give him advice on that, I just want to play it one more time. Do you think he is gay or straight?
Hi, I was wanting to get some advice on how to start looking at more of the positive side of life. Recently, I feel I've been focusing more on the negative outcome of all situations instead of on what should be more positive. And I was wanting to see if you could give me some pointers or something on what I could do.
It's hard to
start
tell a little
It's hard
bit.
to tell a little
more
bit.
Yeah.
It could
on
really
the
go either way.
It could go either
because
way.
it sounds a little bit like
But it's also
he could
kind
also
of a
just
gay
have like an
question.
accent.
It's kind of a gay question a little bit too.
Yeah, man, he's in touch with his feelings, you know. I mean, you know, it's a little gay, you know.
No, this is a good question
Yeah,
from Cody. I
that
don't
is a
know.
good
I don't
question.
know what race he is either. Cody Hester, whether he's straight or gay
Or a J or a B.
or a J or a B or a W. It's a good question, and I think I sometimes
Or a PI, Pacific Island.
Oh, Pacific Islander. I hope he's not one of those. I mean, you could call in if you're one of those, but I hope you don't. So, it's a good question because I think I find myself I'm a kind of naturally pessimistic, negative person, so I could maybe use the same advice from you too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that if you look closely enough at your life, there's always things to find that are positive, and it's important to focus in on those things. And one thing that I've actually been doing in my podcast is something called the Kindness Challenge. And I find that if you are doing positive things for other people, then positive things end up coming back your way. So the Kindness Challenge is challenging basically listeners and myself to do something nice out of the kindness of your heart for somebody that you know, or it could be a complete stranger. It doesn't matter how big or small it is, as long as you're doing something positive to contribute to society. Right?
I love this.
Yeah.
Inspirational. What's some positive things that you've done through the Kindness Challenge?
So okay, I'll these are very little examples. Like,
but it can be big or small. Yeah.
Like, this is just some recent ones that I did. I didn't really want lemonade at this store, but there's kids who are out there who are trying to raise money for something. I was like, all right, I'll give a couple bucks for a lemonade, and we're just like on the road, like.
Why didn't you want it?
I knew it was gonna be
sugar.
bad. I knew.
Oh, what? It wasn't good lemonade?
No, I drank it. I took a couple sips, and then until we went a little bit down the road until we were out of.
You were polite.
Yeah, I wasn't like, your lemonade sucks, kids. Work on it. I just paid you $2 for this.
I could argue that doing that would actually be positive because it would instill them to be better.
I mean, there's always that argument to give them more work ethic, to keep pushing themselves
Like, listen,
to be
kids,
better.
you can keep the money. I'm not mad.
I'm going to give you some Ari tips right now.
But
okay?
your lemonade
The consistency
sucks.
All right? There's a little bit too much sugar.
You need more lemon. This is clearly powdered lemonade.
It was. It absolutely was.
It's like, if you're going to have a lemonade stand, if your one product you're selling is lemonade, you can't use powdered lemonade.
Yeah.
And if you do, you at least got to have fake, like some lemons there to put them in to make it feel like it's real.
Mm-hmm.
Presentation is key.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was one thing you did.
Yeah. I was in an elevator recently. I had extra bottles of water. A dude came in looking tired with his luggage and stuff. I was like, hey, man, you want a bottle of water? Because a lot of hotel rooms don't.
Yeah, they charge $7.
Yeah. So I was like, I literally had extra. I just performed at the Comedy Store and had like a bunch with me.
That's very nice of you.
Little things. It can literally be anything like that. Or
but when you were doing that nice thing, the bottle of water in the elevator, were you thinking to yourself, Kindness Challenge?
No, I wasn't, because I've been doing the Kindness Challenge long enough where the goal is for it to become a part of your life where you're not even aware that you're doing it because you're doing it so often. That's like the goal behind it, is you're putting out so much positive energy. You're not like actively like, I need to do this. But at the beginning, you kind of have to push yourself to go out of your way to do it, because you may not be doing it.
You might not be
life.
naturally a nice guy. Not everyone is.
Right.
You might be kind of an asshole like Cody.
It's made me a
Hester,
little
who's
bit
called.
more. This challenge has made me a little bit more compassionate towards homeless people, because there's a big homeless problem in Los Angeles.
I'd say it's a crisis.
Yeah,
It's terrible.
it's a huge.
Get him
issue.
out of here. No, just kidding.
Well, I mean, it's easy
I
to.
don't know what the solution is. I've thought about that.
I don't know what the solution is either, but it's easy to walk by people and like, I was in New York recently, and this guy came up to me, and he didn't look homeless, but he's like, hey man, like, I'm trying to get a bus, like, I'm trying to get subway fare, like, I just need a couple dollars, like, to get me on the subway. And he like started telling me this story. I go, dude, I'm like, I hope you're telling me the truth. I literally have $2 left in my wallet right now. It's yours. Good luck. And he was like super appreciative of it. So I've become a little bit more, where before, like, especially when I moved out here, I like had to shut it down, because moving out here, you have no money and everything yourself. where you're like, I have to survive as well.
Okay,
so
here's
you
the question.
block it out a little bit more.
You know how Joe Rogan, I'm just going to call him out for this. Joe Rogan tips people like $100.
Yeah,
all
like
the
at
time.
the comedy store and stuff like that.
Really generous tip.
Yeah.
Even, I'd say regardless of, obviously Joe Rogan's not hurting and can afford to do that. But it's still a very, very nice,
Very nice gesture.
generous gesture. How rich would you need to have to tip the comedy store door lot guy $100?
It would have to be a lot. It would.
10 million?
I'm not, because
50 million?
It doesn't make, like, I don't tip the guys at the store right now. It just doesn't make sense for me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have
I think you
extra
should
money.
tip them $1.
Well, you
Lot
work there
guys.
though.
I think you should tip the lot guys $1.
Yeah.
I didn't know you didn't tip.
I don't tip. No.
You should tip them $1.
Yeah.
Just the lot guys, not all the door guys.
Okay.
Just something.
All right.
But how much money?
It's gonna take me getting to that next for
How-
it to make sense.
How much money would you need to tip them $100 in your bank account?
In my bank account?
In your checkings, if you had 1 million right now, would you tip 100?
I don't know.
I wouldn't. Not 1 million. I think for
I think
me,
those start going pretty quick. We're
That's what I
there.
mean.
Also, dude,
you're
you have
there.
to-
4
we're there
days, let's
so
say-
much.
Yeah, exactly. That's
So
what. No,
that's what's
I
kinda
wouldn't
hard
do
to
it for
say.
one. Maybe 10. Maybe if I had 10 millions in the bank, that means 10 million. Not
And you already have all
my
your
house.
other investments and stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah,
10 million
that's-
in the
that's
bank.
safe.
Maybe I'd tip $100 to the lot guy. What
What did you gather from Jeremiah's appearance on Ari's podcast? He's a cheapskate. I'm generous with wait staff and stuff, and probably because I used to
I do
be a
20%.
waiter. I used to be a waiter,
Yeah.
so
I tip
Yeah.
20% for wait staff, or like when I go to restaurant and stuff.
Yeah.
What about you about that? This is from Jade Kelly.
I need some advice. I think my husband is having an affair with another woman. How do I ask him about it? How would I know?
You're laughing at this affair? This is very serious.
this is clearly an actor. Continue.
What do you mean? This is a woman. I'm starting over. You need I'll edit this out so you look a little nicer. I just talked you up as this nice guy,
Dude,
and now
this
you're
is-
laughing at this
it's-
woman's affair.
Dude, if I'm not being pranked right now, dude, this is
a woman's affair, and you're
this is
cracking up.
Clearly an actor.
Let's play it again. This is
How much did you pay this girl in your scene study class to call into the
Listen,
show, Ari?
I'm not the nicest guy. I think it's funny that you're laughing at this, but you're laughing at a real woman's affair right now.
Okay, man. All right, go ahead and play it.
I need some advice. I think my husband is having an affair with another woman.
Oh, no.
Tonight on TNT.
How do I ask him about it? How would I know if he's telling the truth? What should I do?
This is my favorite part of the podcast. Oh my goodness.
Wow, Jade. So sorry to hear that. I wish I knew
think
more.
my
Hey,
husband
Jade,
is
he's
having
cheating
an
on
affair
you.
with another woman.
If you're
How do I
sounding, are you playing it again?
I'll play it one more time. So
I
good.
need some advice. I think my husband is having an affair with another woman.
You think or you know?
How do I ask him about it?
I seriously feel
How
like
would I
this
know
is
if he's telling the truth?
a monologue from a one-woman play.
What should I do?
Like she's literally like pausing, doing the dramatic pauses and looking out and like, I don't know. I think he might be. It happened right over there on our bed. I walked in and I saw him having an affair. And that's when I started to question, is my husband having sex with another woman? I know I just saw it in the bed right there, but could it be a mystery that's
Do you think
unsolved?
when women do, or not women, when actors do monologues like that, they know that they're that it's bad?
They're not aware.
They just don't know.
They're not aware.
They think it's great.
Because, dude, look at every comic who goes up. We all have to think that we're good to go up. It's all delusion. So after a point, like, you have to start off whatever field you're going into with some delusion, whether it be, you know, if you're going to school to be a radiologist or whatever, you have to be delusional enough to be like, I can make it towards the end of these 8 years of school, and I can do this, and I can help save people's lives. To compare that, like, on what we do, we have to think that we're funny enough where we can get on TV, we can, like, maybe, like, you know, be able to tour as headliners and stuff, be in movies, sitcoms, whatever. But the funny has to outweigh the delusion at some point.
Yeah.
So, right, like, when you're starting out, the delusion is way up here to get started, and your funny is way down here. And as the years go on of you repeating mics and doing shows and getting those reps in, it starts to even out. And then eventually the delusion starts getting very, very small, and that's where you start seeing your very successful people.
I like that. That's a good
Unlicensed.
That is. I never thought about it quite like
Everybody
that.
has to be a little bit delusional to follow their dream.
But hopefully that,
But it'll balance out.
yeah, it comes out the other end.
Yeah.
Yeah, that call didn't sound that genuine to me.
Tell me about your how you get these calls.
I mean, I can't tell you.
Yeah, you can't divulge that information.
I can't tell you how the food
Hi.
is made, dude.
Hello. My name is Marco Polo, and I think my husband's having an affair. What do I do?
Do you think that was Marco Polo
It could
calling in, pretending to be?
I think that's Marcy Polo.
Let's play a different call.
You got a different one? Okay, cool.
Because that one, I agree, wasn't just. It's hard to give advice to someone like that. I think if her husband's having an affair, it's probably because he doesn't like to be around that kind of energy that you're putting out. I didn't like it. I didn't like the call.
Well, yeah, he feels like he's in a drama at all times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd say try and be more of a real person. This is for Lauren.
Yeah, blame the woman. That was the therapy you just get. I think you just need to clean up your attitude. Then that way your husband will stop cheating on you, you dum-dum.
Well, when you put it like that.
I mean, you know.
I'm just saying I'd cheat on that woman too. And I don't cheat. But I would on Kelly. We'll take the next call.
Nice.
Lauren Kinsella.
Hi. I would like a few tips for dealing with grief. My dad died a couple of weeks ago, and since he's been gone, I feel like the whole world has turned upside down. I don't want to get out of bed in the morning. I don't want to eat. I can't sleep. I feel like things aren't even worth trying anymore. All of the things that seemed so important in the past are not anymore. Nothing's important. Nothing matters. What do I do now? I'm on my own. I don't have anyone to rely on. How can I possibly keep going on like this? Anything you can do to give me a hand would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
We touched on this a little bit earlier in the episode. We didn't get too into it, but you lost a friend shortly after moving to LA that worked with you at the Scam Artist music Scam Artist place.
Yeah.
Yeah, what would you say for her? What should she do?
I mean, you know, this is if we're tackling this one seriously, this is a hard one because, you know, we both recently lost a friend in the comedy community that you know, grief and negative thoughts.
The late great Brody Stephen.
Yeah.
Check him out if you don't know who he is.
Yeah. So anybody who's legit going through grief, especially like because a family member died or just negative thoughts or having suicidal thoughts, there's always somebody who's willing to help, even though it seems like there's nobody, because the amount of people who suffer after that person's gone is so great. So it's so important to, you know, it's way easier said than done. I'm not saying it's easy to ask somebody for help, or it's not easy to call somebody and be like, I'm having these thoughts, but they will be grateful that you did, and your family will be, and everybody will be, because you're wanted here much more than you think, even in your darkest times.
Yeah, that's definitely true. You're definitely one. I mean, even the people who I like really don't like in my life, the people who I make fun of with my friends and say that person sucks, I don't like that guy, I don't want them to leave the earth.
Yeah.
And I think most people feel the same. Not that I necessarily wasn't even getting suicidal vibes from this caller. It sounded like she was just struggling through grief. It didn't sound like she was necessarily thinking about taking her own life or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, yeah, who knows? But when you're sad, I mean, you gotta do pick-me-ups, and maybe you feel like you don't deserve it, and your thoughts should be on the person who died, but you got to do things for yourself to make yourself happy, you know. Also,
if it's somebody that's close to you, if you're grieving somebody's death, there's a point where, you know, it's what I think is important to tell people, it's okay to be sad. Like, that's a normal response. Like I think what's important is to be sad and know that you're sad and be in it, and then move on and start celebrating their life and get to that next moment by remembering them in ways that are positive to you and that are healthy for your mental state and your life, and like getting out of the house and going to places that you enjoyed, you know, making memories with them.
Yeah, what would they want for you? They'd want you to be happy.
Yeah, of course.
They'd want you to be selfish, to get out of the house, to stop thinking about them, and to live your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know who this person was to you who called, but they're in a better place, and you can be too, if you just join them in the afterlife and die. No, if you're selfish and you know, be a little selfish, I'd say. Take yourself out to a nice dinner. Take yourself to Hawaii. Get out of the house. Go hiking.
Do a little bit of a reset.
Yeah, do a little reset and enjoy life. Meet some new people. Maybe get an escort. Maybe like a high-end escort to make yourself feel better.
Maybe his name's Ari. I don't know.
Whoa. I do need to find new sources of income. If you're listening to this still and you have any income ideas for me to make, I am looking to...
Do you have a Patreon or anywhere they can...
No, I don't like to beg for money. I'm willing to do work. Sorry if you have a Patreon. No.
I just have like a PayPal. I'm like, if people want to donate to the podcast, that's fine, to keep it going and stuff like that, but...
No, for some reason I'm not into the Patreon. It feels like, even though it's not, you're putting out content. I don't know. I battle with it. I feel like it's the equivalent to panhandling on the internet.
I personally, and maybe I should do it, but I'm not a personal fan of Patreon. I just try to put out as much quality content as I can, and if people enjoy it,
if I was getting enough things for ads, I'd do ads over Patreon.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it. We ended there on, you know, a little death and darkness, but
that's how we're ending the show.
But, you know, life moves on, the show moves on. I think everyone, personally, I know that all my listeners and myself are some of the best people in the world. And I want you to go out there after listening to this episode and be the best person you can be. And that means I want to take Jeremiah's segment of, what is it called?
The Kindness Challenge.
The Kindness Challenge.
Yeah.
And I want to put it here. I want everyone to go out there and do something nice for me. I'm going to change it a little bit. Your Kindness Challenge is to go out there and do it for like a stranger or someone in your life. I want everyone listening to this to do something kind for
Ari
me.
Manis?
So this is the Kindness Challenge, Ari Manis edition.
Okay, yeah.
So if you're listening to this, you know, there's been a lot of versions of this challenge to go out there and Do a kindness for a complete stranger, to a homeless person, to a child in need, to a sick person, to someone in your life that could use a pick-me-up. I want you guys to all put your heads together and think, what can I do nice for Ari? Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me.